What's good? What's good, everyone? Listen, man, this right now is what we call the end of the year review. We're going to talk about what all has gone on, as well as some things that I want to help podcasters with, business owners, everyone. So this is the year in review. We're going to talk about what worked, what didn't work, and what I'm going to take into next year. So y'all ready? Y'all good? Hey, man, listen, this has been a blast this year, okay? So 2025 has been a blast. Now, I had a friend of mine ask me, I said, hey, man, I want to ask you a real-ass question. And I was like, yeah, shoot from the hip, bro. He was like, man, do you feel like that your podcast actually did its thing? Did it move the needle? Or did it just give you something to post? So I thought about it. And the one thing that I had to come up with was this. I went through some changes. I started out the Diary of an Entrepreneur, Solopreneur Chronicles, but it was the way that I studied, the way that I looked at other people's content, other people's podcasts. And then I realized my podcast is not doing what I wanted to do. And it didn't start doing what I wanted to do until I had like a full-on conversation with myself, to where I was like, I need this to move the needle towards the end of the year. So when I go into 2026, I'm starting fresh. I got my business going. Everything is going great, right? So I didn't want to end up with just more episodes and no income. I didn't want to not have a list, and I didn't want to have a clear plan. The one thing that I had to figure out is what was the purpose of my podcast? What was the purpose? And that's what you need to think about too. So as I'm having this conversation with you, I want you to freaking understand this. What I'm having this conversation for is to get you to understand what the changes I went through that could help you get to this next step. And when I changed it to podcast for profits, like most people was like, man, you just talking about making money. I said, read the tagline, listen to the tagline. I said, it basically tells you itself. So they was like, all right, man, you know how people get. When you start making yourself do other things that other people don't want you to do, when you're not doing what someone else wants you to do, when you're not on someone else's dime, that's when you realize you've grown up in your podcast, in your business, in almost everything that you do. So I told him, I said, read the tagline. I said, what does it say? It says, we turn conversations into currency. So towards the end of the year, I think I probably right around, I want to say late September, early October. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe it was end of August, early September. The change itself basically was telling you that this podcast is going to not only teach you how to do podcasting right so you can grow your business, because podcast is evergreen, all right? But it's going to teach you how to have a conversation that could generate a profitable stream of income for you. So I felt like I needed to be totally honest with you about what worked, what flopped, what I'm leaving behind in 2025, and what I'm going to double down on. So my podcast produces more profit and not just plays. So if you're ready to rock out, like we always do, we still going to talk about the end of the year. But if you want to get where you have sharpened your skills going into 2026, you want to be cleaner, you want to have a fully monetized voiced podcast, you know what it is. This episode's for you.
Welcome to Podcast for Profit, the show where podcasters become CEOs. I'm your host, Tony Porter, and every week I'm giving you the strategy, systems, and game you need to grow your audience, monetize your message, and build a 7-figure podcast business. No fluff, no cap, just real results. Let's get into it.
Yo, what's good, man? Listen, check us out. Welcome back to the Podcast for Profits, man. This is the show where we turn conversations into currency. Now, if it's your first time here, I'm Anthony Porter. I'm your host. I'm the podcast. I'm the coach. I'm the creator, helping other podcasters, other coaches, other solopreneurs, service providers stop guessing and start building a podcast that attracts, builds trust, and generates income. today we're going to talk about the year in review. So again, remember I told you in the beginning, I was asked that question, and basically I realized that I had to rebrand myself. And once I rebranded myself, I had to sit back and I had to think about it. I'm like, does my podcast do what it says it does? And so when I changed what I was talking about, when I changed the name, I had to really be like, man, I'm all in. So it's I'm here. A lot of people don't make it to this point. Like I am 63. I think this is episode 64. I'm 64 episodes in. All right. So here's what a lot of people don't understand. So listen, think about it. There's 52 weeks. And if you podcast for 52 weeks, that's one episode, 52 weeks. All right. 52 weeks. So I started this podcast, which at the time was called The Diary of an Entrepreneur in 2023. I've been podcasting for a little over 8 to 9 years, but this particular one has gone from the Diary of an Entrepreneur to the Solopreneur Chronicles, and now we are rebranded, the final rebrand, the Podcast for Profits. All right, so I'm gonna give you the biggest truth about most podcasters, including myself, because I went through this. All right, so here's one thing that I had to realize: more content does not equal more money. All right. This year, I put myself on what I call a content OS. So I took more time out to idealize my content, took more time out to research. I took more time out to study other show episodes. I went back and I looked at some of the episodes that I had done years ago versus last year versus what I did mostly of 2025. Oh, and I'm sorry. In the beginning, I said 2023. I started this in 2024. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But what I had to do was I had to dig deep. I was recording constantly. I was posting everywhere. I was chasing the algorithm. Now, I wasn't obsessed over the downloads, but I was thinking about what if the downloads became and all of this and all of that. So one thing I had to realize it wasn't about how many shows I was putting out. It was the value inside of the episodes. And that's what made my mindset shift. So you got to understand this, okay? You got to understand it. When your podcast has reached a plateau, all right, when you start learning the tools that are needed in order for you to be successful, you stop struggling to get clients. You stop struggling to grow your email list. You stop struggling to sell whatever offer that you have. Because now with the content OS that I've been working on, it's building a machine. It's building a content machine. I'm not building a business engine. See, the machine makes everything roll smooth, man. Like the machine is what keeps everything going. For those who have a podcast, you got to understand this. You can put content out there, but if ain't nobody paying attention to what the fuck you saying, then what is it? In my city, there's tons of podcasts. Like we're kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to other cities. We're behind like Atlanta, California, New York. And when I say California, I'm talking the whole state of California. Not just because everybody should know, but some people don't. When you're talking podcasts, you got people in LA, you got people in Oakland, you got people in San Francisco, you got people San Diego, Sacramento. And these are the major spots. I haven't even touched on like states like Nevada, Las Vegas, Michigan, up in Detroit. Man, shout out to the cats out of Michigan who are doing their thing, making this content that forced a brother like me to go and download the UCut app so I can catch up on Murder Pain, man. Shout out to Murder Pain, bro. McGraw Ave is dope. I love the content. I love the people out of New York who are making content. The people out of Buffalo. Hey, I love the folks out of Atlanta and out of Florida, out of Mississippi. Hey, man, everybody has a talent. We just don't have the sources or the resources or the means to get this content out. So, like, take, for instance, my man out on the West Coast, Big Jai. Brother fell in love watching the Lesbian Homies because it was just so dope. But then I started watching the rest of the content. Now I'm one of the biggest fans. I'm promoting. I'm not getting paid. I'm talking about, hey, man, y'all got to go check out the Lesbian Homie, bro. That shit's funny as hell. The shit's hilarious. Okay? So shout out to those cats who are making content. And it's just like podcasting. What made me realize that my content machine was being built was after I watched the episode the other day. I'm sitting around, it's the holidays, and it's right before Christmas. And there's an episode where David Shands is visiting studios, is visiting studios, and he's out in Vegas, right? So he goes to visit Lightspeed, which is a interactive course builder software. Here was the beauty. I found Brad Lee. Brad Lee don't give a damn what he says in his podcast. Brad Lee is one of the realest cats I've seen doing podcasts in so long. Mr. Shands is interviewing him. Brad Lee is giving you the game. He made a comment stating that, he doesn't pay attention to the comments because people can be detrimental on comments. Like recently there was a TikToker that committed suicide unalived herself, because people was bullying her online. Man, I hope that young lady has found peace within eternal life as she's moved on. But the one thing that I know, I'm not following the comments. He said it best. They don't know who I am. I don't know them. It's just people behind the keyboard. And that's cool. Whatever y'all want to do, man, y'all do it. But anyway, I realized that my business engine needed to change. So my mindset definitely had to change. All right. I know I kind of got off track a little bit, but it's just one of those situations where we got to have that conversation. So when I changed the name to Podcast for Profits, things that started working for me, and they should work for you when you're doing your stuff. So I made it clear on what we was doing, what the tagline was, what the mission was. The mission is we're turning conversation into currency. I started treating my podcast like a business asset. See, the one thing, and going into 2026, one of the episodes is going to be strictly around this. All right. I've mapped out 2026 already. I have theme months. I have my content ready to go. The Podcast for Profit weekly newsletter is up and being designed. So going into 2026, guess what? That's what we're doing. We are building a content machine. If you look at people like Russell Brunson, he has a machine. If you look at Tony Robbins, he has a machine. If you look at David Sands, he has a machine. When I watched Brad Lee, I realized he had a hell of a machine. But one thing I had to do and one thing you need to stop doing. All right, stop asking, what should I talk about? What you need to be saying is, what problem does this episode solve for the day? That's what you need to talk about. All right, so you got to be brutally honest with yourself. See, every episode that you put out, this is when I made the shift because I wasn't doing this at first. I didn't have the magnetic messaging going on. I didn't realize that my episodes, I was just putting content out. But now I realized that I needed to make sure, and this is exactly how you need to be. You need to make sure that when you put your episodes out, that your content is building authority, you're generating leads, and you are positioning an alpha. You can't have random rants and you can't have filler episodes. Now, because this is 2025 year in review, just needed to talk about that. A lot of people don't understand, like when I go to the barbershop, shout out to my barber, Jonathan Lockhart, shout out to my guy, Heavenly Cuts, shout out to Marv, shout out to Brother Mo. Listen, when you are putting out your content, when you are building authority, when you are generating leads, when you are positioning your alpha, there's no random rants. There's no filler episodes. But because we needed to discuss what went on in the past, I felt like we needed to get some clarity on things that was going on around. Number two, sometimes you got to make sure as a podcaster, you have a clear CTA in every episode. I didn't have that. Even to this point now, I didn't have that. I didn't have it because I didn't feel like it was important. Now, I talked about subscribe to the podcast, follow us, leave a review, things like that. But the truth of it is I really didn't stress telling people what they had to do next. Because see, if you don't tell them what they need to do, they won't do anything. And then you're just left stuck. Now, here's what's crazy, because I know a lot of people sitting there talking about, okay, so basically what you're saying is I just got to talk my way through. No, listen, just like when it comes to affiliate marketing, every day you are in an affiliate marketing funnel. Most people don't want to believe it. I don't do affiliate marketing. Yes, you do. Every single day is what you do is affiliate marketing. Here's how you know you're doing affiliate marketing. Here's how you know that when you tell someone to do something within inside of something, it's a CTA, it's a call to action. All right, so here's how you know it's affiliate marketing. You ready? I'm gonna hit you with this one real quick. When you turn your TV on, you watching your favorite episode. Like one of my favorite episodes on Sundays is Landman. All right, Landman. Landman has taught me how to go to my stock account and look up oil stocks. I don't have the money to go out here and pump 50 barrels of oil in a minute. I don't have that. What I have is I have a little bit of money I can put over here, and I can buy some Chevron, I can buy some BP. I buy the stocks that are within inside of these stocks because I might not have the major ones, right? But they didn't even realize that they was putting me in an affiliate marketing funnel. But when you go to the grocery store, say you go to a Publix, or say you go to a Kroger's, or if you live down south Winn-Dixie, I don't know about the other grocery stores in other states. All right. But when you go to these stores and you go and you buy a soft drink, say a Coca-Cola, I own a stock. Thank you very kindly. But when you buy when you buy Coca-Cola from a Kroger's or a Publix, or you buy Coca-Cola from a Winn-Dixie, a Walmart, a Costco's, a Sam's, a BJ's. When you buy these products from these, they don't own them products. They are an affiliate to these companies. So if you're paying $6.99 for, I think in Kroger's today, the sodas was buy two, get two free. But you're paying $6.99 per six pack, right? They probably get 10 to 15%, maybe 20% of that. Why? Because that conglomerate is going to make its money. The store has to make money to operate. They just want a percentage back, affiliate marketing. But how do you get to that point? It's like when you go buy a car. Most people see YouTube videos and people like, let's take Kai Cement, all right? He's to me, he's young because I'm older than him, but dude is shown the way. Drewski shown the way. Nick Cannon has, quiet as it's kept, bruh. I don't give a care what nobody say right now. Nick Cannon has basically shown the blueprint to being a multi-million-dollar mogul in the media space. But everybody want to talk about the beef and all of it. Listen, I don't get into all of that. Here's what I get into. I've been doing my research. He's got a podcast. He almost lost it. He almost lost Wild 'N Out. He had other shows. He was on that prime. Listen, Nick Cannon been all over the place. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? He been all over the place. But what I realized is every one of his shows, every one of his ads, it tells you what you need to do. It tells you season 22 dropping, such and such a date. Tune in. Here we are tuned in. Yeah. That's how we are. Eyes wide open, looking at it. So that's what the CTA is about. So I had to give you the story in order to get you back to the CTA. You understand what I'm saying? I had to give you the story to get you back to the CTA. So you got to understand that language. Another thing that I had to realize in 2025 is I had to build an ecosystem and not just a show. See, in order to get my foot in the door, it's about becoming the front door. I don't need to be the product. I need to be that door. So I need to be the door that opens up for other folk to want to come in. And that's how you should be in your podcast. Listen, I don't care if you're talking about gym. I don't care if you're talking about dogs, dog breeds. There's a gentleman right now. He breeds Rottweilers. His name is Kelsey. Good friend of mine. He came to me the other day. He said, hey, man, I don't never hear you give me a shout out on the podcast. Kelsey, what is it that you do? My business is I breed Rottweilers. Well, now you tell me. Now we got to have a conversation. Because now that conversation is going to turn into currency. You see what I'm saying? It's not just, hey, man, I'm not going to just put you out there because you're my friend. You got to have a conversation. You got to have something that you're going to talk about. But for me to have this conversation with him, I started building an ecosystem. The podcast became the engine. I needed an email list. I'm building a community. Now I have a buddy that reached out to me. Show me how this podcast thing works. See, where a lot of people, and this is my community. This is my culture. You want to follow, most people follow the episodes, the videos, where they just ratchet. The stuff is funny. Like when I get on TikTok, I look for stuff like that. But what a lot of people don't understand is you got a voice. And the way the economy's going now, cast is going to be the way to go for most pastors on Wednesdays. Why do I need to cut the lights on and run the LG&E up in the summertime and cut the heat on in the summertime? I mean, the air on in the summertime when it's hot as all out the devil's stew outside. Hey, go to the crib. Log on to the live stream. We're going to do the podcast live. The Wednesday evening worship. And then when we do this stream live, if you missed something in there, you can go back. Because see, if you're thinking the church is just not a business, well, I don't know what planet you on. Because it's a business. So they got to figure out a way because see, sometimes church memberships have declined. Churches have become an ecosystem. Businesses is our ecosystem. You know, it's funny because I had this conversation just the other day. Four people I want to credit for the way I started doing business. That's Ronnie Gray. That's Tyrone Anderson. That's Terrence Spence. And then there's this gentleman named Jeff Vessels. Ronnie came and got me off the porch to help me start coaching football. He said, come coach with me. And I never looked back. But in that time, Ronnie also introduced me to Tyrone. I used to watch Ty, how he conducted this youth organization and made it an ecosystem. Okay. It just wasn't a team. It was a program. It was an ecosystem. Terrence came along and he showed me a different way to market, to monetize. I'm like, man, this is dope. I'm looking at it from the sports aspect. I hadn't even gotten the podcast yet. But when I got hired at MSD, Metropolitan Sewer District, one of the supervisors there was showing me the business side. He didn't even know. Every one of these cats didn't know what they were showing me. That's the funny part. They didn't know they were showing me something. That was so cool. Because I'm the type of person, I'm a sponge. I sit back and watch, and I pay attention. You know, I met this old cat one time. I think I've told this before. I'm gonna say it again because it's a beautiful segment of my life. I met this old cat one time, and we working in this cul-de-sac. I'm the youngest guy on the crew. I think at the time I was like 25 years old. And my mans tells me, now me being a knucklehead, me being a street cat, I ain't listening to what he's talking about. All right. But my man says, hey, man, you don't need to be doing this. You need to get yourself in the stock market, buy you some property, become rich. And man, I wasn't hearing it at the time. About 2 or 3 years later, I run into him in the mall. He remembered me. Hey, man, you follow that information I give you, that advice? I'm thinking, funny he says that because the guy I'm working with, he didn't like talking before 12 o'clock. I'm thinking, you don't need to work during the day, though, bro. But anyway, every morning, stopped at the store, brought the Wall Street Journal, the Courier Journal, which is the local newspaper in the USA Today. I didn't read none of those papers except for one section. That was the financial section. Because that gentleman's conversation that day played in my head. I taught myself how to do the stock market. It was something that was said to me that made me want to learn. It was the ecosystem that he was trying to instill in me a long time ago, but me being a knucklehead, I didn't listen. Those 4 gentlemen that I explained and gave you their names showed me the way without them even knowing. They showed me the way. So, man, my flowers is going to them because guess what? There's a lot of things that I do now because of them. There's ways that I carry myself now because of them. There's ways that I conduct business because of them. My ecosystem is built behind the scenes by them 4 gentlemen because they showed me a pathway. Because without them, things that was going on didn't work. And just like in podcasting, you can't have stuff that doesn't work. Like you can't chase every new platform. You just can't. I live by the 5 ones. 1 problem to solve, 1 platform, 1 traffic source, 1 core offer. We doing that for 1 year. That's the 5 ones. When focus beats exposure, when depth beats reach, it's a beautiful thing. I stopped overproducing. A lot of people want to overproduce, man. Listen, they will edit an episode, get the episode, put the episode together, clip it, chop it, add the sound effects, do all that. No. Brad Lee said something that was so cool. I shoot my episode and just go. That's it. Ain't no editing. I'm like, man. He said a polished episode with no promotion is like a billboard in the desert. I said, oh my God, that's dope. That's freaking dope. Think about that. You ain't promoting yourself. He said, in order for you to become a brand, you need to be all over the internet. Y'all about to, in 2020, y'all gonna get sick of seeing me. Y'all gonna get sick of seeing a brother. And then I did this. I'm guilty of this. And most podcasts, we wait too long. We want people to sponsor us. I don't need you to sponsor me. Check this out. You want to learn how to do this podcasting thing? In the description below is going to be a link. I just want you to join the newsletter. Subscribe to the newsletter so you can get this information for free. You feel me? But while you're doing that, here's a little incentive for you. I'm going to give you the client generating podcast blueprint. Last year, I threw that out there, man, and it was like, whew, man, I'm going to sell this for $97. Man, we're going to give it away in 2026. Free. All right. So don't wait. Don't wait for more downloads. Don't wait for more confidence. Don't wait for validation. Ain't nobody going to validate you. Validate yourself. If you don't feel confidence in yourself, then you shouldn't feel confidence doing these podcasts. Most people walk away after 3 episodes. I told you I'm 63 in, and this is 64 going into 2026. We ain't looking back. We looking forward. We looking to become better at what we do. The skill set has definitely changed. So understand this. Going into 2026, here's what you need to know. This is what I'm taking into 2026. In my brain, my mindset, clarity beats consistency. So what that means is consistency without a strategy is noise, period. Your voice is your leverage. A lot of people don't do this. 1 episode can become 10 pieces of content. You can start a conversation, book some calls, and build authority. And then community is way more greater than virality. It takes 100 listeners to trust me over 10,000 who will scroll past me any other day. I'll take that. All right, I'll take that. So for my listeners, I'm going to ask you these questions. If you are doing a podcast, thinking about starting a podcast, I'm going to leave the email link in the description below. And I just want you to, matter of fact, I'm not even going to leave you the email. I want you to comment. All right. One question I want to ask you is, did your podcast bring you closer to the income that you was looking for this year? Do you know who your podcast is for? That's question number 2. And does every episode point somewhere? That's what you got to ask yourself. Because if it doesn't, that's fine. You're aware that it doesn't. So now it's time to upgrade your game and move forward into 2026. 2026 is the year that we take over. Look, Wall Street Trapper already done told y'all Wall Street's starting to look like us. And when I say us, I'm talking black, brown, white middle class, white lower class, all of us. See, the 1%ers is the ones who's trying to keep us down. It's time for us to take this thing over. Chocolate City took it over. Tyler Perry down there doing his thing. T.I. and all the rappers down in Atlanta doing their thing. The East Coast coming back. It's not just about, listen, most people want to own land. I want to own digital real estate. I'm all over the place. You about to see me everywhere. Get ready. Put your pinky blinders on. Your 3D glasses. I'm coming to you live and indirect. All right. So if you're listening to this and thinking, I don't want to guest next year, here's what I need you to do. Subscribe to the Podcast for Profits weekly newsletter. I'm giving you the client generating podcast blueprint for free. The newsletter is free. All I need is your name and your email address. I'm going to leave a link down below. All right. And if it's not fully up, because my team been working on it constantly, trying to make sure everything is together. If it's not fully ready for when you pop in, keep checking back, man. I need you to check back. Because 2026, we're not A class. We're not them A-roll actors. We C-roll. We trying to get to A-roll. We about to take over the world. All right. So if you're a podcaster, you want to build real strategy. If you're a content creator, you want to build real strategy. If you're a service provider, solopreneur, a coach, consultant, you got something to say. Your voice makes you have something to say, because this newsletter is going to help you build real strategy. It's going to create content with intention. All right. And you're going to learn how to monetize without selling your soul to the devil. All right. All right, man. That's what this is about. All right. So next year doesn't need to be more episodes. It needs to be better decisions. All right. You don't have to add an episode a week to make your podcast jump up. All right. Your podcast is not a hobby, my peoples. It's a platform. It's leverage. It's a business freaking tool. And I want you to understand that. And if you use it right, it's going to pay you back. But you have to take the time out to do it. Listen, Brad Lee said he got interviewed by David Shands on his podcast, not David Shands on the Brad Lee podcast. Brad Lee said that was 2 or 3 years ago. He said he'd been doing it for about 10, 11 years. The number he kicked out to me, most people say it's not in reach. It's in reach because if you just put in the work, everything will come back to you full circle. He said 6 to 12 million is what he gets just from the podcast. That's not from his business. That's just the podcast. It's out there. We just got to go get it. You feel me? You feel me? All right, man, this is Podcast for Profits, where we turn conversations into currency. Be on the lookout, because here's what I am going to do. I'm going to start interviewing some local business owners. Listen, I don't even want them to leave their office. We're going to jump on here on remote. We're going to get these interviews in because they might have something they want to tell you that can help you out in the long run. So that's what we do, bruh. Podcast for Profits. We here, 2026, not only my year, but your year. I'm going to catch y'all next year. I'm going to catch y'all in the next episode. 2026 is going to start out way better than 2025 did. That's my affirmation for that. I mean, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all this year. I hope you had a very Merry Christmas. I hope your New Year starts out perfect for you. All right. But January the 5th, new episode coming. Not a new season. The new episode. January 5th, 2026. We taking over. I'm going to be the greatest showman. I'm going to see y'all now. See y'all, my peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Profit. If you got value today, share this episode with a creator who's ready to level up. And make sure you hit follow so you never miss the moves we're making. If you're serious about turning your podcast into a business, tap the link in the show notes to join the Solo Empire Network and get the tools, coaching, and community you need. I'll see you in the next episode.